Hello and welcome to Worms Podcast. My name is Hee-Jae, your host, and this is episode 2, Cain and Abel. The first question you have to ask when reading about Cain and Abel is, why did God reject Cain's offering while accepting Abel's? Because when you read the Bible in Genesis chapter 4 verses 1 through 16, the Bible does not exactly say what the reason was. It just says that Cain did what was not right. So the question of what he did wrong or what was not right still hangs in the air. And we tend to speculate the reason why God rejected Cain's offering. So in today's episode, we are going to examine this story and find out why God had to reject Cain's offering. One of the first things that you have to realize about this story is that this was not the first offering that these two had made. That there would have been many other burnt offerings that have been made over the years. And the only reason why this offering was recorded in the Bible is because something was different. Something has changed from the previous offerings that was significant. And the thing was, before Cain's offerings were accepted, Abel's offering was similarly accepted. But today, for some reason, Cain's offering was rejected and only Abel's was received. So we try to find out why by comparing the two sacrifices. But the problem is, God does not compare. He does not compare between me and you, nor does he compare you with anybody else around the world, because he created us unique. So he does not expect the same thing from any of us. He expects me as a unique person. But for argument's sake, let us compare the two offerings. One brought him a vegan dish, while the other brought him a meat lover's dish. Now, some would argue that because Abel's sacrifice was a precursor to Jesus' death on the cross, his sacrifice was accepted. But come on. How would have Cain known? Even Abel, the person who made the sacrifice, probably didn't know about a future event many years down the line. Nor did the Bible instruct the two boys on how to make sacrifices. And also, like I said before, the previous sacrifices were accepted. So why now? Why the difference now? And let's get it all out there. The firstborn tag is not all that important because most of the sacrifices did not have to be firstborn. And also, vegetables and grain were accepted methods of sacrifices. When God instructed Moses on how to make sacrifices, there are grain offerings, vegetable offerings, while there are firstborn offerings, while there are non-firstborn offerings. So material for offering is mute. On top of this, when you read Hebrews chapter 11 verse 4, it says, "By faith Abel brought God a better offering than Cain did. By faith he was commended as righteous when God spoke well of his offerings." So amidst all this mayhem, Abel's offering was accepted because of his faith and righteousness. In other words, Cain's offering was not accepted because of these same elements. So then why was he lacking these two elements? And it seems like Cain already knew what was wrong with his sacrifice. Because when God came to Cain right after the sacrifice and talked to him, the tone of the language and the way he says it make it seem like God knew that Cain knew what was wrong with his sacrifice. Let me read it to you. It says, "Then the Lord said to Cain, 'Why are you angry? Why is your face downcast? If you do what is right, will you not be accepted? But if you do not do what is right, sin is crouching at your door. It desires to have you, but you must rule over it.'" God knew that Cain knew what was wrong with the sacrifice. In fact, I think even Abel knew what was wrong with the sacrifice. Cain did not do what was right. So what did he do wrong? What right did he not do? The answer can be extrapolated from a story much further down the line, in the story of Noah. Let me read it to you. In Genesis chapter 9, verses 3 and 4, it says, "Everything that lives and moves about will be food for you, just as I gave you the green plants. Now I give you everything, but you must not eat meat that has its lifeblood still in it." Do you get it? Think about it. Think about it. Think about it for a second. It says, "Now I give you everything." Up until the flood, people did not eat meat. Think about it. People did not eat meat. So then, what was Abel's job? What was his occupation? And moreover, what in the world did Abel bring to the offering table? What did he bring God for burnt offering? Because people start to eat meat much further down the line after the flood. With meat out of the picture, what is Abel's job description? In the beginning of Genesis chapter 4, the two boys' occupation are stated. Cain worked the fields while Abel tended to the flock. But now with meat out of the picture, what is Abel actually doing? What is he doing with the flock, with the herds? The answer is in Genesis chapter 3, verse 21. It says, "The Lord God made garments of skin for Adam and his wife and clothed them." After realizing that they were naked, Adam and Eve quickly got leaves and covered themselves up. But when they were banished from Eden, God made clothes out of the skins of animals and clothed them and covered them up. So Abel's job was a seamstress or a leather worker, maybe a tent maker. He was not somebody who was putting meat on the table. Now that we have Abel's occupation out of the way, let's talk economics. Now, first thing you have to realize is that it's not the modern day era, it's the Adam and Eve era. They probably didn't wash for a long time. They probably didn't have many sets of clothes. They probably, in actual reality, they probably would have, on a sunny day, washed their body and their clothes at the same time and put back the semi-dry clothing in the afternoon. So, but to make this work, let's assume that somebody would want 3 sets of clothing for every season of the year. So let's say there are 4 seasons and they need 3 sets of clothes for every season. So they start out with 12 sets of clothes and a tent because they have to sleep in a tent. So they have 12 sets of clothes and a tent on the first year. On the second year, let's say they add a set of clothes every season. So that's 4 sets of clothes a year. So that's 4 plus 12, 16, plus the 10, they keep the tent, so that's 16 and a tent. On the third year, they add another 4, and that makes it a grand total of 20 sets of clothes and the tent that they already own. On the 5th year, let's say they don't add any more because they already have 20 sets of clothes. But they need a new tent, so they add a tent. So they've gone through 2 tents and 20 sets of clothes. On the 6th year, they throw out 4 clothes and they add another 4 sets of clothes. So it happens. So every year after the first year, let's say they go through 4 sets of clothes and they buy 4 new sets of clothes, and every 5 years they make a new tent. So in essence, Abel is making 4 sets of clothes a year for everybody and a tent for a family every 5 years. Now, turn that around. what is Cain doing? He's making food for the whole family. So what is he doing? He is making enough food to allow Abel to survive. 360 days a year, 3 meals every day. That makes 1,095 meals per year. So, in essence, now we are assuming that Cain does not have any, a goat or two here and there. And we're assuming that Abel is always out in the field herding his flock, so he does not have a little garden out back. So we're assuming that Cain and Abel have to trade for their food and clothing. So for 1,095 meals a year, Abel is giving Cain 4 sets of clothes every year and a tent every 5 years. Now, so yes, Cain is Abel's keeper. It's a given. If Cain does not trade with Abel, Abel's livelihood is on the balance. And being tired of being Abel's keeper for all those years, what did Cain do? He decided that he wanted to be recognized. He and only he will be recognized. And instead of going to God about his complaint and his anger within, when he is the one feeding the family, who's keeping everyone afloat, while Abel is only having to trade a few pieces of items for all the food that he consumes, Cain decided to do it his way. Cain decided to take it in his own hands. So what does he do? On the eve of the offering day, Cain, unlike the other times that they have made offerings, decided not to trade with Abel for the sacrifice. He thought that if Abel did not have the food for the food offering, God will have to only acknowledge Cain and reject Abel. That's what he wanted. That's what he decided within himself. That was his plan. But in faith, Abel, suddenly deprived of the materials for sacrifice, decided by faith to offer up something that has never been offered up before. He brought the fat portions of a firstborn lamb and gave it to God. And God, looking at that faith, accepted Abel and considered him righteous, even though it was not food. Now, being found out, anger burned within Cain. Anger of being slighted, anger of being found out, anger that everybody knew what he was scheming. Anger pent up from all those years where he thought that he was sacrificing for his family erupted, and he called Abel to the field. And killed him. And so when God came calling and said to Cain, "Where is your brother Abel?" the first thing that came to Cain's lips was, "Am I my brother's keeper? Am I my brother's keeper?" Because all those years of being Abel's keeper, it weighed on Cain's mind. He thought it was unfair. He did not want to do it. And all those years of pent-up frustration, he knew what had eaten away at his heart. He knew that he did not do the right thing when the day of the sacrifice arrived. He knew what was wrong. He knew that greed, self-importance, stones, and sin crouching at his doorsteps, ready to pounce in. And he opened the door and let it in. He was his brother's keeper. Are you, am I, my brother's keeper? Thank you. If you enjoyed the video, please like, share, and leave a comment. Thank you.